day 17 of Grace Changes Everything. Going to get right into it. You remember in the last session we looked at Romans chapter 5 verse 1. Well, we're moving on to verse 2 today. Through whom also we have obtained our introduction or our access by faith into this grace in which we stand, and we exult in hope of the glory of God. I remember, when I was, a small boy, not too small, around about 10, early teens, that sort of thing. We used, I'm sure you remember them, the long school summer holidays. Well, behind our house, there was a field, and I don't know who owned it, but it basically, they cut the grass once a year. So for most of the year, it was really tall, really long. And we used to play one particular game day after day, and we called it Commandos. And basically, you had a base, and you used to have to use this long grass to get to the other team's base without them seeing you. But as long as you were in your base, they couldn't capture you. But when you went out to try and capture their base, if they saw you first and identified you, then you had to stand and you were frozen until somebody went and rescued you. So the idea was to capture the other team's base before they got yours. But as long as you stayed in your base, you were safe. And one of the things that we did, because the summer holidays were long and we weren't very creative in what we played, because we used to play this nearly every day, we had lots of sweets and drinks and all sorts of things, chocolates and all that sort of stuff hidden away in our base. So when we were there, we had like lots of provisions to eat and try and spy out where the enemies were coming to attack us from. Biblically, grace is our base. It's where our provision is. It's where our freedom is. And while we stand in grace, we are free from enemy success in trying to rob us. Just look again at that passage. We have obtained access by faith into this grace in which we stand. Now, that reads, the way that reads, it's in a tense in Greek called the Greek perfect tense. We don't have a kind of a direct equivalent in English, but it means a past completed action that is still of continuing effect right now. The results are permanent and apply forever. It's a completed action which has enduring results. That means there's nothing that's going to change about this access that's provided. It's a fact. Now, what's that access to? That access, according to this passage, is to God's grace. And the way to receive God's grace is that it's permanently open. The way in is permanently open by the provision that Christ has made for us. We place ourselves in that grace. We go in by faith. Now, what's in that grace? What's there? What we stacked away in our base? What's hidden away there to sustain us? It's everything that is provided by the victory of Christ on the cross. Through his death and resurrection, it's forgiveness, it's peace with God, it's new life, it's everything that is available to us within that word salvation or sozo that we looked at earlier in this series. Now, some of you may know, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard this, grace is often described as God's unmerited favour. It's getting what we don't deserve. Christ did this for us quite apart from ourselves. Now, another way I sometimes think about is it's the sphere of God's grace, or the realm, or the privileged position of acceptance and blessing that Christ paid for. Now, the word that's translated access here, it carries the idea of admission. It's a bit like admission when you go to a concert or go to a theatre or a football match or a cricket match. It's like admission to an event. It's a ticket. It's a ticket that gets you in. Now, we are given that access. We are given that access ticket, but we didn't pay for it. The price that was paid for it was paid by Christ. So it's not our actions. We didn't pay for it. We didn't earn it. It's not on our merit. It's not based on how much we have done or how good we are compared to other people. It's based on what Christ has done and what he paid for by his death and suffering. And here's the good news. You can take hold of that ticket right now, and you can walk into that stadium, the sphere of God's grace, and you can go into it and place yourself in that sphere by faith in him, trusting him as your saviour, relying on him as your saviour, taking advantage of the life he died to give you. And once you're there, once you believe, you stay standing in that grace, because that is the place where full provision is made and where the enemy cannot steal from you. So Father, right now, I thank you that you've provided access to the realm of your grace. I declare that no matter what I face, you have provided all I need, and I boldly stand in that grace and receive from you. Amen.